Between the people that you get, the inspections that you have, and the things you have to go through, signing a lease contract with a Section 8 tenant is almost one of the worst, most painful things that you can do as a landlord. Let's talk about it. What's up, guys? It's your boy Swan Belcher. This is me taking action on Instagram, and thank you for watching the This Is Me Taking Action YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe and like. Today we got a great one for you. I want to share with you some of the pain points, some of my problems, you know, with Section 8. And as much as I'm gonna dog them out, I'm not gonna tell you to like not accept a Section 8 tenant into your rental property. I'm not gonna tell you that, because everything comes with a little 80-20, you know, and this is definitely one of those topics that's close to me. Now, because when you're renting property, you have to have all of the rental income. You know what I mean? You gotta have some Section 8, in my opinion. It's consistent, okay? You gotta have some group homes. You'll make more money, and you won't have much of an expense as far as maintenance goes, because that's how operators run. They pay you more, but they'll take care of some of the maintenance. You gotta have the short-term rentals, because you'll make more money. Even though there's more expenses, you'll definitely make more money and your property will stay cleaner, right? And then you also have to work with some business professionals, you know, who are gonna keep your house clean rather than tear your house down, you know? So I like to have all of those different ways to rent, you know? I'm not saying that the other ones don't have some negatives. I'm just saying the Section 8 gets on my nerves. Let me give you this one example, okay? I got a house on Fushi Street. Awesome house. I bought it subject to maybe 5 years ago, paid it off in just 3 years. Awesome house. Little 2-bedroom, one house, got a little patio and a nice yard. Awesome little neighborhood close to A&T too, okay? Now, when I got this house, I think I put like $2,500 in it. Nothing crazy, because I didn't have a lot of money at the time. And then I put it out on a lease option, okay? The house ended up coming back to me after they didn't express their option. So at that point, I sunk in $16,000 of my own money into the property, okay? Now, I know we teach no money, no credit strategies, but in this particular case, I didn't want to sell the property and take my profits, because we was only a year away from paying this bad boy off. I figured, let me just put some money in, make it great, so I can have a nice home for people. Now, since I made it so good, I realized, man, this joint could pass a Section 8 inspection, and I can just get, you know, another house with guaranteed monthly income. Because that's definitely one of the upsides of Section 8. You don't have to worry about it on the first. Everything's a go. You know, like there's no ifs, ands, buts about it. On the first, you got money. And if you have your mortgages on automatic draft like I do, getting those rent checks when those mortgages comes out is amazing, okay? So I ended up getting another Section 8 tenant, okay? Now, when I chose her, it was amazing, because you know, when I chose her, it was amazing, you know. And when I met Jasmine, I was like, oh, perfect. Car's clean, teeth was clean. I'm like, yo, it's gonna be a good tenant, you know. Section 8, wonderful. I'm gonna get paid, and she's gonna keep it clean. Matchmaker. Now, first of all, I had this property listed for, I think it was $875. Okay, her voucher for Section 8 was $850, so a little less than what I wanted, but it's only 25 bucks a month. No problem, let's do it. Okay, here's what the first thing went wrong with Section 8. They don't have the tenant sign a lease before they agree. What they typically do is have you type out a lease and leave it blank. Okay, they don't want either party to sign. They just want you to send that lease over so that the Section 8 department can review the lease. And then they order you an inspection, either from the city or one of their in-house inspectors, okay? Most of the time it's an in-house inspector first, and if they're busy, then somebody from the city will come out, okay? Once you pass the inspection, then they say, hey, great, Miss Tenant, now you can move in and sign your lease, drop the deposit off in first month's rent, okay? Now, I hate that process, because that takes 3 to 4 weeks to do that process. You're marketing your property for rent for that whole month, even though you already found the person that you want to go with. And you don't know, you know, you don't know if they're actually gonna be able to move in. You know, so I hate that whole 4-week period. Now, I'm 4 weeks into this investment, okay, with this young lady, and you know, we passed the inspection, so great, she can move in. Amazing, I love it. But they hit me the day before she moved in. They hit me with and said, hey, look, man, we can't pay the $850. We can only pay $760 a month in rent. And this young lady's like 100%, you know, 100% Section 8. And I'm just like, yo, that's, you know, I was already accepting less. You know, my properties are already priced affordably. Now you're taking me even lower. Now, the lady talked me into it down at the office and said, hey, you know, you can always do an increase, you know, a year down the road, and of course we'll give it to you. So I said, hey, no problem. I'll do the 760. Okay. Did the 760 for a year. Everything's awesome. She's a great tenant, just like what we thought. You know, a year later, I do my request for an increase, and also the Section 8 inspection comes up at the same time. Okay. Here's where it starts to go wrong more. First inspection. They give me a time to be out there. The guy he's already been there. He came a day early. So when they say, hey, we're gonna do an inspection, they give you the date and the time. And me being the landlord and I'm active in my business, I wanted to meet them there so I can go through, you know, what he saw that he thought needed fixing, and we could talk about it, or even just have my handyman there at the same time and get it done all at the same time, okay? But he came a day before he was supposed to come. I didn't like that. That's snaky, okay? I get a letter in the mail with 20 different things to do. And this house is beautiful. It really is. I mean, but I get the list of 20 things and I'm like, man, I don't want to do this, but I like the tenant. I'm gonna go ahead and do it. $3,500 worth of stuff knocked out in a week. File for the re-inspect. He presents us with a whole list of new items, okay? He didn't even tell me when he was gonna come out to do the re-inspect so I can go out there and meet him. He presented us with a whole new list of items. I said, forget it, you know, forget it. I'm not gonna do it, okay? At that point, I honestly thought to myself, they're not gonna kick this young lady out, you know, who's clean, who has a job, who actually has a child in the house, and our house looked as good as it did, you know. Surely they're not gonna kick her out. They sure did. They sure did. Now, I couldn't believe it, because the day that she moved out, hours later, I showed the property to 3 other people. That's how clean this property is. That's how good of a great shape this property's in, okay? Days later, after they saw it on the day that she moved out, they moved in. It was so clean, I didn't even pay Miss Elrita to clean it for me. Like, this property was awesome. I couldn't believe how Section 8 did this lady. It's bad to me because technically I accepted the lower rent. You know, I was cool with losing a month on actually collecting rent in the beginning of the process. And now I'm actually having to do a whole turnover and get a new tenant in. But more importantly, what about the tenant? Where does she go? You know, like, how does she move and change her things right now because this city program is not paying her rent like they promised they would? Now, my second bad experience that I had with them was with my apartment unit over on Bragg. Okay, I have 2 Section 8 tenants there. One is 100% and the other is partial pay. Now, Miss Jen, who is 100%, she has been there for 40 years. Literally been in the same apartment at that same building for 40 years. So way before I was born, she'd been in that apartment, okay? So when I purchased the property, I make sure to, you know, to not move out, to not transition elderly people that have been there so long. So I purposely keep her. Now, when I originally purchased the property, her rent was $575. She loved it. She wanted to stay. Now, when I moved in, a part of my acquisition strategy, in order for me to get the loan that I needed to get, I have to increase the rents. Now, being that this lady is 100% Section 8, I'm almost for sure that I'm gonna get the increase, okay? And of course, because she's 100%, she doesn't have to pay anything, okay? So I do my request, $575, This is a 3-bedroom, 1-bath. I got another 3-bedroom, 1-bath in this apartment complex rented out for $1,200. I increase it to $1,000 for Section 8 to pay. Instantly, when we send over the request, okay, they send an inspection letter. Hey, we're gonna do an inspection. I told Miss Jen, hey, she actually told me when the inspection was, and she asked that, that I be there. Hey, no problem, I love to be there. I go to the Section 8 inspection when I'm supposed to go, at the time I'm supposed to go, and he's already been. And I'm like, man, I know it's not that same Negro from the Fushi Street house, okay? Surely enough, just like clockwork, a week later, we get a full list of about 50 different items. Now, according to Miss Jen, she said the whole 40 years, they had never done an inspection on this apartment complex. On her particular apartment. They've never done an inspection, okay? They only did one for me. It's because I asked for an increase. If I would have kept her in that, I don't know, you guys let me know in the comments below. Do you think that's wrong? Like, the rent is low, so hey, no, there's no need for an inspection. It's okay if the property goes down, in quality. It's okay that if something's broken because the rent is so low, versus, hey, there's somebody that wants to take care of the property, to just put a new roof on, new gutters, new fascia, just put countertops and cabinets in, it's cleaning up the parking lot, it's doing all the landscaping and tearing trees down so there's no mice around. Like, do you guys think that that's okay? This young man does a second inspection after I spend $6,000 on this apartment complex, fails her twice, fails her 3 times. At this point, I hadn't been paid for 2.5 months from Section 8, from Miss Constance. So I have my property manager do what we do with everybody who's 2 months behind. Send them a notice to vacate, okay? So it got up to 2 days before, she was supposed to move. She got her stuff in boxes, okay? The inspector came over to do another re-inspect, and when he saw all of the boxes, for some reason, they was able to immediately pay out. Why? I didn't understand that. So you were gonna continue to fail her on inspection, for as long as I was willing to not get paid the rent? That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. And of course, once again, they went up on once that happened, they went up on the rent just fine, 100% pay, no problems at all. I don't understand. They were about to have this elderly lady. I mean, Miss Jen gotta be in her upper 60s, okay? Now the problem with, if that would have happened, the problem with Miss Jen would have been that she's been in that apartment for so long. Her original qualifying factor was that she had 2 kids living in the house with her at that time. But that was 40 years ago. So essentially, this lady wouldn't have been able to, reapply for Section 8 and be qualified for Section 8 because she doesn't have those kids anymore. So if she would have been, moved out, she would have been homeless. She would have had to move in with family because she definitely don't work. And so I thought it was crazy that Section 8 was willing to push the limits with their tenants and their landlords. Why? I don't get it. And then this last one, this one really blows the straw for me. Really blows the straw for me. Because like I said, there's definitely some good Section 8 tenants, but there are a lot of bad ones. A lot of bad ones. I bought this property with the tenant in it, inherited it. Once again, she's 100% Section 8. Elderly lady, she's 71 years old. I'm thinking everything is cool, okay? Little did I know, a year later, okay, she's moving out only to find out she moved out because she's selling drugs in the property, okay? The neighbor said supposedly she's selling herself, okay? And she created some problem with somebody, so they shot 36 rounds inside of the front of my house. And so just the type of tenant that you typically attract when you post your property up on Social Serve, which is a Section 8 website, or when when you're looking at a voucher, you're immediately taking on a certain kind of person. I'm not saying they don't pay, because they definitely do pay, but is it really worth it?